Chapter 14. I become a known fugitive. I'd love to tell you I had some deep revelation on my way down, that I'd come to terms with my own mortality, laughed in the face of death, etc. The truth? My only thought was, "Ah!" The river raced towards me at the speed of a truck. Wind ripped my breath from my lungs. Steeples and skyscrapers and bridges tumbled in and out of my vision. And then, flaboom! The white out of bubbles. I sank through the murk, sure that I was about to end up embedded in 100 feet of mud and lost forever. But my impact with the water hadn't hurt. I was falling slowly now, bubbles trickling through my fingers. I settled on the bottom of the river soundlessly. A catfish the size of my stepfather lurched into the gloom. Clouds of silt and disgusting garbage, beer bottles, old shoes, plastic bags, all swirled up around me. At that point, I realized a few things. First, I had not been flattened into a pancake. I had not been barbecued. I couldn't even feel the Chimera poison boiling in my veins anymore. I was alive, which was good. Second realization, I wasn't wet. I mean, I could feel the coolness of the water. I could see where the fire on my clothes had been quenched. But when I touched my own shirt, it felt perfectly dry. I looked at the garbage floating by and snatched up a cigarette lighter. No way, I thought. I flicked the lighter. It sparked. A tiny flame appeared, right there on the bottom of the Mississippi. I grabbed a soggy hamburger wrapper out of the current, and immediately the paper turned dry. I lit it with no problem. As soon as I let it go, the flame sputtered out. The wrapper turned into a black, slimy rag. Weird. But the strangest thought occurred to me only last. I was breathing. I was underwater, and I was breathing normally. I stood up, thigh deep in the mud. My legs were shaky. My hands trembled. I shouldn't have been dead. The fact that I wasn't seemed like, well, a miracle. I imagined a woman's voice, a voice that sounded a little bit like my mother's. "Percy, what do you say?" Thanks? Underwater it sounded a lot like it did on recordings, like a much older kid. "Thank you, father?" No response. Just the dark drift of garbage downriver, the enormous catfish gliding by, the flash of sunset on the water's surface far above, turning everything the color of butterscotch. Why had Poseidon saved me? The more I thought about it, the more ashamed I felt. So I'd gotten lucky a few times before. Against a thing like the Chimera, I didn't stand a chance. Those poor people in the arks were probably toast. I couldn't protect them. I was no hero. Maybe I should just stay down here with the catfish, join the bottom feeders. Pump, pump, pump. A riverboat's paddle wheel churned above me, swirling the silt around. There, not 5 feet in front of me, was my sword, its gleaming bronze hilt sticking up in the mud. I heard the woman's voice again. "Percy, take the sword. Your father believes in you." This time, I knew the voice wasn't in my head. I wasn't imagining it. Her words seemed to come from everywhere, rippling through the water like a dolphin's sonar. "Where are you?" I called aloud. Then, through the gloom, I saw her. A woman the color of water, a ghost in the current, floating just above the sword. She had long, billowing hair, and her eyes, barely visible, were green like mine. A lump formed in my throat. I said, "Mom?" "No, child. Only a messenger, though your mother's fate is not as hopeless as you believe. Go to the beach in Santa Monica." "What?" "It is your father's will. Before you descend to the underworld, you must go to Santa Monica. Please, Percy, I cannot stay long. The river here is too foul for my presence." "But I was sure this woman was my mother, or a vision of her anyway. How did you—" There was so much I wanted to ask. The words jarred in my throat. "I cannot stay, brave one," the woman said. She reached out, and I felt the current brush my face like a caress. "You must go to Santa Monica. And Percy, do not trust the gifts." Her voice faded. "Gifts?" I asked. "What gifts?" "Wait!" She made one more attempt to speak, but the sound was gone. Her image melted away. If it was my mother, I'd lost her again. I felt like drowning myself. The only problem was, I was immune to drowning. "Your father believes in you," she had said. She also called me brave, unless she was talking to the catfish. I waded towards Riptide and grabbed it by the hilt. The Chimera might still be up there with its sneaky fat mother, waiting to finish me off. At the very least, the moral police would be arriving, trying to figure out who'd blown a hole in the arch. If they found me, they'd have some questions. I capped my sword, stuck the ballpoint pen in my pocket. "Thank you, father," I said again to the dark water. Then I kicked up through the muck and swam for the surface.